Hi, this is Greg Johnson with resourcesforlife.com, and this is a short video about the nature of interacting online. There's a lot of online gaming, as you know, in the form of virtual worlds, that type of thing. I just saw an ad recently on Facebook for an online community called EVE Online, and they're advertising this as very unique because you can have literally tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people participating in this virtual world that they've created, which is actually a virtual world in space that's been created online. And I guess a free account is available for use for 14 days. I don't even know what it costs for the paid service. But, it got me thinking about kind of online interactions in general, and how Facebook really offers, I think, a unique difference in the way that we interact online. So let's look at a few categories of online interaction. There is the traditional kind of online discussion boards. I think historically that's kind of the foundation of online interaction and social cooperative work and discussion and that type of thing. So these online discussion boards. And then more recently, I guess it's become popularized to have online gaming, these virtual worlds where people have their own avatar, their own image online, and their own virtual space. And then there's this area of not really discussion rooms, but public forums for feedback. For example, newspapers will often have their articles online, and then people can comment on the articles. One thing I've found is that, particularly with online article commentaries, it seems like people can be particularly sarcastic and rude and vicious even. I think it's because in many cases, particularly the ones that are rude and sarcastic, in many cases people are operating under a pseudonym. They're anonymously posting, so they're this much removed from themselves. It's more sort of an anonymous persona, and even probably removed from their own sense of self decorum or sensitivity to being polite and thoughtful when interacting with others. One thing I noticed with Facebook is that because of the way Facebook operates, people are they're out there. I mean, your picture's out there, you might have videos online, your social network is identified. So it's really a more holistic way of presenting oneself and interacting online in a community environment. Because with Facebook, you kind of see the whole person, what their interests are, who they are, pictures of them in different settings. So it seems to me a more accurate presentation of who people are, and then the interactions are by necessity, I think, more polite, more thoughtful, more considerate, because nobody wants to get out there and really put their own reputation on the line and come off as being just kind of a sarcastic and rude and belligerent kind of person, right? So it seems to me that Facebook offers at least the potential for a more healthy and thoughtful and considerate online interaction. Now, one thing that I think is interesting is how, with Facebook, you have, again, your avatar is yourself, whereas with these virtual games, you have some other kind of cartoon character that you pick to represent who you are. And with this EVE Online, I downloaded the software just out of curiosity to see what it was. It's really interesting. You go in and create your online self, and you need to identify with one of four, at least this is where their virtual world is at present, one of four kind of communities that you belong to. One community is this religious community that wants to take over the universe and make everybody believe what they believe. Okay, that's one community. The other community is sort of this tribalistic community that presumably, is broken down into other little tribes. I didn't delve into it far enough, but I presume that's how that works. And then one of the other communities that you could be sort of connected to in this virtual world was what they refer to as a very civic people who are very focused on efficiency. Okay, and then the fourth group was the only democracy in this supposed future world. And so if you join the group that is a democratically organized group in this EVE online community, then you have other options. So you can be part of, let's say, the activists of the future. This is supposed to take place 21,000 years into the future, so it's pretty far removed from our current Earth experience. But anyway, I just thought it was kind of interesting, and it got me thinking about how people have these shrouded, veiled, obscured online interactions through gaming servers is what they are. And it might be hand-to-hand combat, it might be gaming that represents World War II and you're on a battlefield or something. That's typically what these online games are about: multiplayer, interactive online gaming. EVE is kind of this EVE Online. It seems a little bit unique in that it does offer multiple player interactions without server limitations. So you could theoretically have hundreds of thousands of people interacting and seeing what the others are doing at the same time. So that's pretty cool. But in general, I think that if given a choice, personally, I would prefer to be interacting in sort of a real world rather than a virtual world, and putting myself out there as who I really am rather than like a cartoon avatar, and spending a lot of time kind of developing this sort of alter persona or whatever in an online world. I mean, I barely have time for the real world, much less creating a virtual world and spending time there. I'm just kind of curious to know what might happen as people start spending more and more time in these online gaming worlds and less time, eating and sleeping and exercising and having, real world interactions with real people. So anyway, I'm curious to know, what you people out there think of, what you people think of this whole idea of online gaming, and how Facebook is kind of similar to an online game, except your avatar is really you and the things you talk about are real. Oh, and there's one other thing that's been really fascinating me about Facebook and how I've been using it lately with posting these videos, and that is that I'll see people on the street, and the first time it really got my attention was I saw somebody and the person said, "Oh, I've seen your apartment." And I thought, whoa, how did this person see my apartment? And then I realized, oh, right, I'm posting all these videos online. That's how it happened. And this is somebody who had seen the apartment either through Facebook or YouTube. And I started thinking that Facebook, unlike these other online games, really lends itself to this fusion of the real world that we live in and the online world, and blending the two in kind of a seamless way. I'll have conversations that begin on the street, and then I'll post a video to extend the conversation, and then it turns into a text or an email, and then I'll see the person later on and we'll keep talking. So it's like this blending of real world discussions with online discussions, and I think that's something that doesn't normally happen when you're in an online discussion board with people that are maybe stamp collectors from all over the world or something. It's not, these are online communities that are based on common interests rather than a common locality. So I think that's another aspect of Facebook that's really quite interesting and unique. Anyway, I guess that's just kind of general rambling, no particular point to make, just some observations. I'm kind of curious to know what